She used to make me choose the weapon she'd hit me with. A wooden spoon, my hand outstretched, her rage unfiltered. But one day, I snapped. Not in the way she expected. I picked the spoon. I broke it. And what happened next ended everything. If you've ever felt powerless, like justice would never come, this story will hit deep. So if you're ready to watch a cruel woman crumble under her own guilt, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into one of the most quietly savage revenge stories you'll ever hear. When I was a kid, I didn't live in fear of monsters under the bed. My monster was out in the living room, knitting sweaters and reading the Bible. She looked like a sweet little grandma to outsiders. Gray curls, thick glasses, soft cardigans. But behind closed doors, she wielded discipline like a weapon. Not discipline to teach, but to control, humiliate, break. One of her favorite rituals? The spoon. Whenever I messed up, or sometimes when she simply decided I did, she'd say the words that froze my spine. Go get a spoon. That meant walking to the kitchen drawer, selecting a wooden spoon, and handing it to her. Then, like a soldier awaiting execution, I had to hold out my palm and wait. And she never held back. The stinging pain wasn't the worst part. It was the choice, the performance, the power she forced me to give her. Like I was somehow helping her hurt me. Her control was calculated. She wasn't just strict. She was precise, calculated. She'd judge me by the spoon I picked. If it was too small, she'd call it smart-ass behavior and hit harder. Too big? Trying to be clever. There was no winning, only surviving. And even as a child, I knew this wasn't love. This wasn't guidance. This was power. And she enjoyed it. Something I didn't even do. One day, I came home to find her holding a broken glass garden. This small decorative enclosure of moss, rocks, and water that my mom had gifted to my dad. It was fragile, sentimental, and now shattered. She was furious, claimed I broke it. I hadn't even touched it, swore I didn't. But in her eyes, a denial was just more reason to punish me. You lying little brat. Go, get spoon. Something in me snapped. Not in a loud, explosive way. It was quiet, cold, calculated, just like her. A spoon of my own design. I walked into the kitchen, fists clenched, heart pounding. That drawer, that stupid drawer, filled with instruments of humiliation. I'd memorized the texture of every spoon in there. I knew which ones stung the worst, and which ones were weak. I found the thinnest spoon I could, the cheap one with a crack already starting to form at the handle. I held it between both hands, and pressed my knee into the middle. Crack. It broke clean in two. I quickly fit the splinters back together. Gently, like putting on a disguise. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline. This was no longer submission. This was sabotage. This was war. The last smack. I walked back in, handed her the spoon. She barely looked at it. Her glasses were thick as bricks. But she did notice the spoon size. And the look I gave her. That was the first time I didn't try to hide my hatred. I let it show. I wanted her to see it. Her face twisted. You think this is funny? And then she swung. A full, unrestrained swing, fueled by years of being unchallenged. Snap. The spoon broke mid-strike. Right at the handle. It didn't even hurt. But I screamed anyway. Loud. Dramatic. Oscar-worthy. Wah. I clutched my hand like she'd crushed my bones. Ran to my room sobbing. Slammed the door. And I waited. I expected the usual footsteps storming down the hallway. More shouting. Maybe worse. But they never came. Silence. She finally felt something. Later that evening, I heard her voice drifting through the walls. Shaky, broken. She was talking to my parents. Whispering. Pleading. I didn't mean to. I had no idea I hit him that hard. Oh God. I don't know what came over me. I'm so sorry. Christ have mercy. She sounded afraid. Not of me. Of herself. And that was the last time. She never hit me again. No more spoons. No more discipline. It was like the monster crawled back under the bed and stayed there. The quiet power of guilt. She never apologized to me directly. Not once. But I let her believe she broke me. That she had gone too far. That she'd hurt her own grandchild worse than ever before. And I let her live with that guilt. Every awkward Christmas. Every quiet dinner. Every birthday she tried to smile through. I let the silence say it all. I never told her what I did. Never confessed about the broken spoon. Not for 30 years. Eventually, I told my parents the truth. Just casually, in conversation. Remember that time Grandma hit me and the spoon broke? I actually broke it before she did. Their jaws dropped. My mom looked stunned. My dad? He just laughed. One of those low, proud, "That's my kid" laughs. "Smart little bastard," he said. And in that moment, I realized something. I'd won. Not just the war, but myself back. The real revenge wasn't the broken spoon. It wasn't even the tears in her voice as she begged for forgiveness from my parents. It was the power shift. For years, she used discipline to assert control, to humiliate. But with one quiet act of rebellion, I flipped the script. She hit me one last time, and it broke her. That was the last day she held any real power over me. And she never even knew it. Sometimes revenge doesn't need shouting, screaming, or confrontation. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is psychological. Letting someone live with the consequences of their actions, without ever knowing you engineered the whole thing. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. What's the most subtle revenge you've ever witnessed? And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories where justice doesn't just get served, it gets savored.